To get started on this job, we want to make sure that we have our window approximately right here. Not all the way up and definitely not all the way down. Okay friends, to get started on our job, one of the first things we have to do is fully remove the door panel. To do that, I'm going to start up at the top. I'm going to use a plastic trim tool so I don't damage my paint. Come in between this area right here and just start separating this. Behind it, you're going to find little push tabs. I'll show you it in 1 second. There's tab here, here, and right down there. You just go ahead and pop those right out of there. With that out of the way, let's move down along here to the push clip, press in on the center, and then pop it right out of there. We'll set this aside. Next, we're going to move to right over here. We're going to pull out on this door handle, slide our pocket screwdriver in here, and remove this cover. That exposes a screw located right behind here. Go ahead and remove that. Back to the plastic trim tool, we're going to go ahead and pop this up. Just get right underneath it, twist it, and pop it up. Underneath that, you want to make sure that you disconnect your electrical harness here. Now on the back side, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the wiring. There's a little push tab right here. I'm just going to carefully get in between this area and gently pry on it. Then we can lift up and out the wiring. Inspect your wiring, make sure you don't see any funny colors. If you do, it's probably corrosion and it needs to be dealt with. This one looks great, so I'll set it aside. Down inside your handle, you're going to have a screw. Remove that. Now the next thing we need to do is pop the door panel off of the door. To do that, I'm going to continue on with my plastic trim tool, get in between the door panel and the door itself, and then gently pry it away. Now I'm going to lift up on this, remove it from the door. Now the next thing we want to pay attention to is our cables right along here, and of course we're going to have some wiring down along the bottom. You're going to notice that the cable that has the white attachment on it is going to be the top one, so remember that, and then the lower one will be the green. I'm just going to pop this out of here, remove it, do the same thing for this one. Okay, down along the bottom, disconnect your wiring for the light. For this, there's a little push tab. Go ahead and press on that, slide it out, remove your door panel. So now we're going to need to go ahead and get this vapor barrier out of here, but you're going to notice that you have some wiring and some screws in the way. Let's go ahead and get this bracket out of the way, remove the wiring a little bit so we can get this vapor barrier out. Just going to try to sneak underneath the wiring here, pull this out. Okay. Now as we start removing the vapor barrier, you want to be very careful for this black stuff right here. This is called butyl tape and it's very sticky. If you get it on your clothes, it's going to destroy your clothing. The next thing we want to do is remove our speaker. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and press on this tab right here, lift this up and out, inspect it, and then we're going to remove all 4 of our mounting bolts. Remove the speaker from the door. Okay, now looking behind the speaker, you're going to be able to find where one of your mounting bolts is that holds the regulator to the window. Over on this side over here, you have another one. We're going to remove the pair very carefully, and then we need to gently lift up the window so it's up here, and then we're going to tape it so it's in the fully up position. Okay, so now that we have plenty of tape on this, we're going to get back inside the door. Just be very careful at all times because if this glass starts coming down, just get out of the way. Next, we're going to come right over here. There's a little push tab. Just go ahead and squeeze on that. Remove the wiring for your window regulator. So looking at the door, you can see that you have 2 mounting bolts right here. We'll remove the pair of those, and that's one single bar. Aside from that, you're going to have a couple more bolts right over here. We need to remove those as well. For this one right here, I'm just going to loosen it up just enough so it can slide up into the position right here. Now we can fully remove the others. Carefully reach inside your door. We're going to lift up on the window regulator, slide it through, and then slide it out of the door. There it is, friends. Okay, friends, now it's time to install our brand new window regulator. I swapped over my bolt from the original to the new one. Now I'm just going to continue on by sliding it into the door very carefully once again, and we're going to line up that bolt, slide it into its corresponding hole right here. Okay, now that I have that slid in there, let's continue on by starting in our other mounting bolts. Once we have every single one of our mounting bolts started, we'll snug them all up. Now that I have those 4 in, I'm going to continue on by putting in these 2 as well. Okay, all of our bolts are started, snug them all up. Okay, so what you're going to notice from your brand new window regulator is it comes with a whole bunch of extra wiring. Obviously, you don't want to leave this just hanging out inside the door because every time the window goes up and down, there's a possibility that it could potentially get caught. For me personally, what I like to do is just kind of attach it onto this right here. You can either just loop it up and around like this, or even use a wire tie, or even electrical tape, whatever you need to do. Latch that in, make sure it's secure. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and reconnect in our window switch here. Put the key in the on position, and then we need to power the window regulator down so that we're going to be able to bring the window down and put in our mounting bolts. Now I'm going to leave the window switch attached. That way there, once I get the window reattached to the window regulator, we can test it once again. Okay, I'm going to carefully slide this down. Once again, be careful for any pinch points, and if the window starts falling free, just let it go. Fit it right in here. We'll do the same on the other side. Let's put in our mounting screws and snug them up. Make sure it's nice and tight. With the key in the on position, let's test it. Perfect. Disconnect this again. Let's go ahead and get our speaker back in there. You're going to look at the back side. You can see that it has a little hooky-doo right along here. So once we plug it in, we're going to bring it in like this, slide it up, and then put in all of our mounting screws. Now it's going to be time to put in our vapor barrier. I'm going to slide it up and behind these wires right here. Once we have it slid in, we're going to put our cables right through the slot. And now we're going to line it up with exactly where we removed it from. Slide this back in there. Now we're going to put our bracket back on there. Just take one of my screws, start it right into its hole. Do the same for the other one. Snug them up. Now it's going to be time to put our door panel back on. I'm just going to go ahead and reconnect in our light here. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in our cables here. The green one is going to go along the bottom. That one goes to your door handle. Just go ahead and slide that right in and then lock it. Now we'll do the white. This is going to be for the door lock. Slide that in as well. Make sure they're both secure. If they fall out, obviously you're going to have an issue opening and shutting your door. Okay, now we need to lift this up, and we're going to pay attention to the inside of the door panel here. Along this area, there's kind of like a little hooked area. It needs to fit over this area of the door. So we're just going to come straight up, put it up and over that, press it in, and slide it down. I'm just going to make sure it's all the way down. And now we're going to go ahead and press this in. If you look along this area here, you want to make sure that those push tabs are lining up with their holes. And once they are, just give it a loving bonk. Just going to give it a little tug, make sure it's not falling off anywhere. Now let's put in the screw for the door handle. Let's do this one now. Now let's put this cover on here. Just going to go ahead and press it in. There we are. Just make sure it's completely secured and it doesn't fall out when you open this. Now it's going to be time to reconnect this. Let's go ahead and slide it in. Make sure it's completely secured. Line it up with where it belongs, and then press it down. Now it's going to be time to put in the push clip, but first we need to reset it. So just go ahead and reach along from the back side here, press it forward so the little piton comes through. Slide it in, lock it in. Let's get this trim piece on there as well. Make sure you line up all your little pitons with their corresponding mounting spots. Okay, with it all back together, go ahead and put your key in the on position, and we're just going to retest the window one last time. You just want to make sure it goes all the way down and all the way up without binding in any way. Perfect.